to Hellbent Live. I'm your host, Jesse Doyle. Let us know you can see us and hear us in the chat, and we will get right in to today's show. I know you guys are just quivering with anticipation.
All right.
All right.
We had a freeze there for a moment, but I think we're all right now.
Are we good? Are we
Lady
good?
Wolf saying 5 by
That's what
5.
I like to hear. I'm Jesse Doyle. I'm your host of Hellbent Live. This is my companion, lover, friend, compatriot, helper, cameraman, and the person that keeps me sane through all of this insanity, Mr. Joseph Doyle. Everybody, round of applause for Mr. Joe Doyle.
Yes.
The greatest whoop in cryptozoology.
Greatest whoop in cryptozoology. All right.
We are so glad to have you here on Hellbent Live. We're continuing on with our series on field investigators. We're interviewing field investigators that we know, that we love, that we've worked with before. And we just want to kind of introduce you guys, our wonderful audience and our great community, to some of our favorite people out there, some of the best field investigators that are out there hitting the brush, running around the woods, hunting for Bigfoot, and doing the dang thing. Today's special guest is Brooke Moreland. She is in the green room right now waiting. Do we have anything we need to
One thing I want to throw out there early. We have some friends in the biz who have put out a call. They're looking for anybody who has had a dogman encounter, dogman witness, anything like that in the southern West Virginia region. And if you're not quite sure what part of the state that would be, reach out to us anyway.
Yeah.
hellbentholler@gmail.com. Again, hellbentholler@gmail.com. Do you still have that little banner?
I will make a little banner right now and put that up for you.
Reach out, put Dogman, West Virginia in the title,
You know,
and
it's
we
funny.
will do it.
I brought this up. I have to show you what banner is still just loaded in here.
What's in there right now?
R.I.P. Turtle from the LBL.
I love my job. Anyway, Squatch and Holler podcast knows who's the best cameraman in the biz. That would be me. So anyway, yeah, we got a good little show tonight. We, like Jesse said, we're going to have some guests on to kind of mix stuff up. I know you guys are tired about hearing us talk and babble. So we figured we'd inject some new blood into the show. So we're going to be doing a series of just basically guests on that are also field investigators. That's what we want to focus on as far as these go. People that kind of can talk business with us at that point. People that do the same thing that we do. Kind of compare notes, do everything like that. And like our dear scribe says, what is this, a crossover episode? It's kind of what we're going to do. So
yeah, we haven't done a lot of these in the past. You guys have mostly just had Joe and I babbling at you nonstop for a couple of years now. But we decided,
seems like longer though, doesn't it? So yeah,
it seems like millennia that we've been babbling at them. But I don't know. We've kind of been on this tear lately about a shift within the Bigfoot community, within the Bigfoot research space. We've really been on a tear lately about, kind of separating people who are really doing those field investigations, who are really putting the work in on those, and other things that are within the community. So what we're good at and what we're into is the field investigation side. So we really want to highlight people who are really doing that, who are putting the work in. We actually worked with Brooke recently on a project that we are smack dab in the middle of. I am in the middle of the edit on this right now. We went out to Blood Mountain in North Georgia, and we had an absolute blast. We'll get into that when we have her on here. We'll eventually get into that, and I can't wait to kind of talk about that. We do have a super chat, don't we, Joseph?
we do indeed. From our good buddy and host of Paranormal Palaver podcast, LW Marshall, my man. Hellbent Holler Dark Florida crossover.
LW, you need to decide what you want as your sound effect for when you throw a super chat our way. Just for posterity. Let's go with a Joe Whoop.
Whoop, 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 whoop.
Doesn't it sound better on the headphones?
Oh, it sounds amazing.
It's like
on headphones.
surround
Yes.
sound Joe
Yes,
Whoop. One
yes,
more
yes.
time.
Whoop.
That's
All
it.
right.
That's Joe's signature whoop right there. All right, guys, you're tired of hearing us babble. Let's get into this.
Real quick. Thank you again, LW.
Thank
we
you,
appreciate you,
LW.
buddy. All right.
All right, guys, let's welcome to the show our good friend, Brooke Moreland. Ladies and gentlemen, Brooke Moreland.
Hi, what's going on?
Hello.
Hello.
Hello. I'm going to fix this and put this away. There we go. Brooke is the host of Dark Florida podcast. She's also a field investigator in Florida. We are so excited to have you here. Haven't seen you in at least 4 or 5 minutes, so that's good.
Indeed. I'm happy to be here. I'm excited.
Yeah. So if you want to, why don't you tell the audience a little bit about what you do in terms of your podcast, Dark Florida, and your field investigations?
Sure. So with my podcast and with field investigations, I like to approach it from like an investigative journalism perspective. I like to go where the data and the evidence and the stories take me. So what started off as an idea eventually, grew into this concept where I cover everything from Bigfoot to the paranormal, true crime, strange news, anything that I find interesting. I love unsolved mysteries, especially like those old cases from the 60s and even earlier that people have forgotten about. I love covering those unsolved ones, those ones that like keep you up at night. So I try to bring that sort of aspect into the field work too, and just incorporate it all in.
I like that you're cross spectrum with what you do, that you don't just, you don't put yourself into a corner. You don't like put yourself into one little spot and have to kind of stick with it. You're cross spectrum like we are. We don't do a lot of true crime stuff. We might eventually get into some of that.
We're out there causing true crimes.
We're out there
man.
causing them
Yeah.
crimes. But you definitely get into some paranormal things as well. I wanted to kind of mention to everybody that you taught me on our little trip out to Blood Mountain. You taught me how to use my dowsing rods.
Yes.
And it was a very interesting experience. I've had this set of Cadillac dowsing rods forever that Dewey made me, the Dewster made me. And you showed me how to use yours. And I was like absolutely floored with it. So you've actually brought me into the world of that. And I'd love for you to join me on my contact experiment project that I have coming up, because I think we could do something really cool with them.
Open some
love
hell
that.
gates.
Yeah.
Get some Buffy stuff going on there, man. So right on.
So you are cross spectrum with what you do. Can you tell us a little bit about what you've done? Let's focus on Bigfoot to start out with. Can you tell us a little bit about what you've done in terms of field investigations, where you go and investigate? I know it's Florida, but what do you get up to in Florida? What is kind of your focus when it comes to field investigations out in Florida?
Well, I have spent countless hours out in the swamps here in Florida. I mean, weekend after weekend, just hitting it hard, nonstop, scouting a lot. Central Florida is kind of where I mainly focus. I do get up into Ocala, of course, my friends up there, and the Panhandle. I actually really enjoy any chance I get to go to the Panhandle. I think there's a lot of weird stuff that's going on there. It's kind of underrated. But I've spent a lot of time here in Central Florida investigating Bigfoot over the last few years. So much so, I think it really captivated my time there for a while. I had to start taking some weekends to actually do life stuff because we were just out in the field week after week. And I think what really caused us to go so hard and so heavy is we were having experiences. We came across these trackways. We discovered the footprints. I think I showed them to you, Joe. We were looking at the stride length and some of those photos we captured, but we came across these prints while we were out on a primitive camp. We had been out in the swamp for days and we hadn't seen any people. The other group I was with, we hadn't seen anyone but ourselves. And when we were coming back to camp, we came across these footprints on this trail we had just traversed moments before, and they were deep into the mud and you could see the toes. And I think that was like a really like a turning point moment, because it's one of those, Class B pieces of evidence where yes, we didn't see what made it, but something left this here moments before. And then it really shifts things when you're like, okay, maybe we're really not alone out here.
Yeah, it's when you get those like really cool pieces of evidence like that that really start to pique your interest. When did you start doing field investigations?
I would say probably officially about 3 years ago. I've always been an avid outdoors woman and hiker, before really bridging the gap between taking that love for the outdoors and incorporating it in with Bigfoot. But officially about 3 years, I've been out in the field.
So, has your philosophy on Bigfoot kind of changed over the years of you doing this? I know that, like, I think that our trajectory has been, well, you know, especially Joe's trajectory is that he started out thinking that Bigfoot was like a flesh and blood creature. And you can kind of talk a little bit about that.
Yeah, we'll chime in, but first let's get our buddy Dave here.
Dave,
I can hear
Eccleston.
Teddy practicing. Teddy is going to be the head of the Heckbent
That's the
Holler
Heckbent
Junior
Holler.
Division.
Yeah.
I can hear Teddy practicing his squatch calls upstairs while arguing with Mama. He's almost ready to be released into the wild. Thank you for that, Dave. We appreciate you,
Dave.
buddy. So, Brooks, talk about your kind of like evolution on this. How did you start out? How does that compare to where you are right now as far as your interpretation and kind of what you think is going on out there as far as these different phenomena go? Have you evolved? Or are you kind of still right around where you were, you know, mindset wise when you first started out? And if you have evolved, what's been the catalyst for that?
Well, mindset wise has definitely changed. Coming into Bigfoot, I think I was very bright eyed and naive to a lot of things and was shown very quickly what is behind the curtain. And so my mindset has definitely evolved in that way. But as far as the phenomena of what Bigfoot is, I like to pride myself in that I'm a pretty open-minded person. I love a good debate. I love getting into the why and asking questions and like peeling back the layers of the onion and getting like the devils in the details. So I always had kind of suspected that Bigfoot was just more than some big ape running around the forest. When I came into this, I did have that bias of, I think there's something more that's going on here. Like flesh and blood was never really like, that never really interested me. But when we had people talk about, is this a lost civilization of giants? Is this something more supernatural? Like what is going on here? I think that's really interesting. And then just experiences that I've had have called into question what I believe this is. And I think, and I've talked about it recently, I just feel like the category that we have for Bigfoot that we've built around it is too small. And I think it's time that we need to evolve that category because we can't deny the strange things that are happening, you know, before or after the sightings, during or in parallel, like these supernatural seemingly abilities. We can't ignore that. While we do have some that are more traditional wildlife sightings, like, you know, crossing the road, you do have these other cases with these stranger elements.
Yeah, that's something that we've kind of been touching on recently. I did my show yesterday, my members show yesterday, and I kind of went into that it seems like, and you can tell me if you feel like this too. It seems like as you make your personal evolution through this, and you kind of go through this and realize that there's more to this Bigfoot thing than it just being a relic hominid. It seems like the Bigfoot community itself is also starting to evolve in that direction. And it seems like it's being a little more accepted within the Bigfoot community.
I don't think the community's evolving as much as it is that the people that are speaking up against like the status quo have just had so many experiences, they're not being quiet anymore.
Yeah.
That they're not allowing themselves.
I'll
Because
agree with that.
it's rough for people to go in to, you know, like a sub community of the greater Bigfoot community. And maybe everybody there, it's just they're on the big ape, you know, bandwagon. And for somebody to go, well, you know, I saw Bigfoot, you know, but something else weird happened too. They get like shouted down a lot. I mean, we had a chance to talk with the great David Bacara from the Expedition Bigfoot Museum down in Georgia. And that's one of the things that he really hammered home, that really kind of like molded him into the person that he is right now. The investigator that he is right now was actually seeing that happen like real time. So I think that any evolution we're seeing is because a lot of people are they've been beat over the head with the weirdness so much, they're not willing to stay quiet anymore, if that makes sense.
Yeah, absolutely.
So, so I think that for so long in this, anybody who had any divergent kind of like theories as far as the Sasquatch phenomenon goes, that didn't go along with just a undiscovered North American ape, they were just instantly lumped into like the crazy pile. They were just, and you kind of saw parallels with that with the UFO community. You used to have your hard science guys like Stanton Friedman and everything like that, and they were the ones that were somewhat taken seriously. But then the kind of more woo type people out there, really weren't, they were kind of marginalized a bit. And then you saw those people kind of move to the forefront of the UFO community. And I have a feeling that as Bigfoot goes along and like the interest in it goes along, you're going to become to a crossroads where you shut so many people out of it, the public loses interest in it because they can't talk about what they really experienced. Or you're going to kind of see that weirder element to it kind of move to the forefront, like you did in the UAP phenomenon.
Yeah.
Look at the stuff that's being talked about on the UAP front. And Brooke, I know you follow some of the UAP stuff. I mean, the most respected scientists involved with the UAP phenomenon nowadays usually have the craziest thoughts, but they're well thought out thoughts. They're thoughts that, a great deal of like effort went into. And the people that are just so hidebound with just saying, they're alien rocket ships is what we're dealing with. They've kind of lost the control of the narrative at this point. So Brooke, you focus mostly in Florida, and then we drug you into the mountains of Southern Appalachia. Mm-hmm. How did that compare, contrast? What was the same? What was different? What did you like? What did you hate? Because obviously this was a big change of environment for you.
Yeah, I hated the curvy roads, as you know.
Wasn't going to bring that up, but go ahead and roll with it. So
I was doped up on Dramamine for the entirety of the trip. Shout out to for providing that. This Florida girl, hey, I mean, we have straight lines around here. So, and I was above sea level and that was very windy. But I think as far as the environment goes, one thing about it was so dense up there and the terrain is just not easily traversable. It's very dense. And I think even at one point you guys had made mention that like when we're trying to utilize the thermals out there, it had gotten to the point where everything around us was around the same temperature. And just because of the foliage, it was so dense, it's hard to see what's happening, what's causing what, and really get that. So that I found interesting and a little bit different from what we experienced down here as far as just the terrain goes.
Yeah, I think it's always pretty interesting when you get to that point of the night where everything kind of equalizes in temperature and the foliage is so thick out there. And one thing that I kind of discovered about going out in that North Georgia area that we had just never been out there prior to a couple of months ago. We had never been in that particular area. It was basically like a rainforest out there. So you have so much moisture in the air that the thermals almost become useless to a point. But we definitely got a few really amazing thermal hits while we were out there. Brooke and I we were each running an AGM thermal, and there were several instances where we're out there and we're just catching stuff left and right. And then what was really cool about this, and you guys will see it when the film comes out, Brooke would see something and then I would come in with mine and then I could get another hit on it. So we have two thermals going at the exact same time on the exact same thing. And we're confirming that this thing is here and from two different angles. And that was so amazing to do. We're not used to working with other people out in the field. It's usually just Joe and I. So having you out there, having Steve out there, it was such a joy and a pleasure. It was great to have people out there who are as enthusiastic about the topic as we are, and then can operate in the woods. I think that was like the coolest thing. But with the thermals, it's almost like the environment can defeat them, but we managed to kind of get around it a little bit, just enough to get those thermal hits that we got out there.
Well, it's the terrain up here. You kind of get a first, like a first person view of it, Brooke, to kind of see what we deal with on that, because for so long, the idea that Bigfoot, if it existed, was really just solely limited to the Pacific Northwest, the wilds of Canada. And everybody's just like, it can't exist in the Southeast because it's too populated down there. And to a certain degree, they do have a point if they haven't spent time in the wilds down here. You saw this in the areas that we took you to. There'll be a lot of like heavily forested public land, and then all of a sudden some heavily forested private land, and then back to the public land, back to the private land. And just the terrain, the change in elevation, how just crappy it is. I mean, you're going up, you're going down, densely packed with foliage. They call them rhododendron hells because they're absolute hell to move through. And if you look at the history of a lot of the sightings in areas like that, people have up close sudden sightings. They turn a corner in a path and it's like right there and they see it. And sometimes it's almost like they surprise each other. You don't really get a lot of like in the distance sightings in terrain like that because there is no distance. If it's 100 yards away, you never see it. So it just seems like sometimes the people and the Sasquatch just kind of like almost trip over each other out in those. And you see why. You see how noisy it is sometimes out there. Just the smell of just, all of that like wet foliage and rotting wood and everything like that. And, if something's got a heightened sense of smell, that's going to defeat it. But you look at something like that, and again, I go back and forth on what Bigfoot is almost weekly at this point. But if it is a flesh and blood creature, if it's got special abilities, if it doesn't have special abilities other than just great stealth, physical speed, really damn lucky. But people go, well, how could it be hidden? And you look at areas like you were in and you go, how the hell couldn't it be hidden? I mean, I could stay hidden in areas like that, and I don't have the purported abilities of a Sasquatch.
Right.
We always talk about Eric Rudolph, the guy that blew up the Olympic City bombing guy. He stayed hidden until he just decided to give up. Otherwise he'd still be out there. Terrain like that's extremely easy to like stay hidden in. What's not hidden though?
What's not hidden? Oh,
is our boy Curtis Whitaker.
Curtis, don't hurt us.
Curtis, don't hurt us. Curtis, my man.
Curtis done did it. There
Curtis,
you go.
You got Curtis's little thing there?
We were doing the Joe Whoop for Curtis.
Give Curtis a screaming man.
But I think we should give Curtis a screaming man
And
today.
yeah. What is that from? What is that from, by the way? Stop.
All right, there you go.
So
gotta go for 3 of them. Somebody said that it was in that trailer. Was it the Tom Cruise Mummy? And they messed up because they didn't fit. They had it as like plug-in sound.
How did we come across it? Is it like in some sound effects that you had, or?
Listen, I got places.
I got a
these
screen
things.
guy.
I get these things from there. You know what I'm saying?
Curtis, my man. Thank you so
Curtis,
much.
for that.
All right. So,
Brooke was gonna say something.
I'm sorry, Curtis. Just everything stops when Curtis Whitaker shows up. So anyway.
I was going to agree with you in the fact that I think most people stay on trail too. So you don't have a lot of people breaking brush. And then with an elevated environment like that, that's a higher level of difficulty. Most people aren't getting out onto the trails out there, much less, trying to traverse. I know at one point, we were climbing that hillside and that was tough. That wasn't easy. So, but we saw that bear and it scaled it like it was nothing. So I could see how Bigfoot could easily, obfuscate any sort of human interaction up there.
So I had a really bad analogy one week that I dropped here, but if you really look at it, and if you look at not even what's been reported that Bigfoot can supposedly do, but just by virtue of the fact that they're not constantly being hit with semis on road crossings, there's got to be some just extra special ability there these creatures have. And the analogy I came up with is that it's probably as easy for Sasquatch to evade and avoid us most of the time. I think sometimes maybe, their luck runs out where the conditions are just perfect, but most of the time it's as easy for them to like avoid us. What was the analogy I had? A turtle with a boombox strapped to the top of its ship. Boombox turtle.
Yeah, that was the birth of the boombox.
You could put a turtle with a boombox taped to the top of its shell in the woods, and we'd have no trouble avoiding it, staying out of the eyesight of it. We're much faster. We can hear it coming. We can go places that it can't go. So, you look at it like that, and like the example that you talked about, when we heard and maybe saw something going up the side of a hill, I mean, I was able to follow it because I'm extraordinarily gifted as well, physically, mentally, everything. But it was really rough for me to kind of clamber up there. And by the time I got up, whatever it was gone. Sasquatch, whatever,
It got lucky that time. It got away from you. It got very lucky.
But that's the perfect analogy, is that for things like that, it's child's play, unless all of the stars are aligned, everything goes right for you and everything goes wrong for it at that point. But yeah, it's weird seeing that. And in the Southern Appalachians, they're obviously not as much elevation as like the Rockies and everything like that, but they've got their own set of challenges just due to the foliage. And I think those strips of private property that are really kind of like work in their favor, the Sasquatch's favor, because there's huge swaths of private property out there where there's maybe only people on it a couple times a year, and the rest of the time it's just empty. And I always wonder if, obviously they can't see lines on a map or, property deeds or anything like that, but they observe and they go, hey, people are only in this section a couple times a year. This is a perfect place for me to lay down most of the time, kind of like sleep, do my thing, and then just venture out to kind of feed at other parts of the night. So let's see what else we got here in the chat. If you guys have anything for Brooke to ask, obviously you can do a super chat, which we would appreciate. That'll go towards helping the cause, keeping us in batteries and Band-Aids, or just put it in all caps. And
we'll throw that way. I want to say that, I was super impressed with Brooke. We did not know what to expect from you out in the field, because this was our first time ever going out in the field with you. And you traveled 9 hours to come meet up with two crazy strangers. You know what I'm saying?
We appreciate you coming to meet a couple of total strangers in a lonely cabin in the middle of the woods
with no cell service.
No cell service.
Yeah, so. That was a great. But this was our first time working with you, and we were totally impressed by how you managed your car sickness. You just came right back from it. We were very worried. We're like, oh no. It's like the first day, and she wasn't used to the roads, and then she got that Dramamine in her, and then bam, she's right back in business. And me and Joe were both like, yes. But we're not used to having other people kind of come on these. It's usually Joe and I. But you totally impressed us when we saw some sort of like, it looked like something up the hill. You darted straight up a hill. You were climbing rocks. You were right there in the thick of it with us. I don't know. What was your opinion of kind of like how the whole thing went and going out into the field with us? I know that some people have gone kind of and done a couple of things with us, and they're like, okay, they're a little too much. But do you feel like that? I don't know. I want to say like, how was your impression of the whole thing and doing a field investigation with the team?
Honestly, it was incredible. I think I saw someone commented earlier saying that we had kindred spirits, and I felt that, throughout our trip. I felt like it was just perfect. I'm kind of a hardcore person, and I like doing hard things, and I guess I don't half-ass anything. Are we allowed to say that on here?
Yeah.
Okay. And I do, if I'm going to do something, I try to do it to the best of my ability. And I have a high work ethic, and you guys do too. So to be able to take that and then, bringing a little bit of like a physical edginess to things, it was cool. And like, you're Billy goating it up the mountain. I'm keeping up with you. I'm like, this is awesome. And I think some people, like you said, would be like, this is the worst, but like throw me in the woods at 3 a.m., climbing up a mountain looking for Bigfoot. I'm in my element. I'm thrilled. And it was super cool because like all of our energies really, really worked. And you guys nobody like complained. And I think like that's a thing I try not to do. It's going to be tough, and you either got to bear with it or you got to get off the ship, So you guys are just as tough. And I loved that. And both of you have like such an eye for the moment and what's going on. And it was really cool. You guys were very impressive in your own right.
and we've figured out over the years that like doing these field investigations are often just a trial by fire, and it's never easy. There's this concept that we talk about from time to time, and that you have to give it something before the phenomenon. You have to give the other or the phenomena something before you get anything in return. You have to make some sort of sacrifice. You have to commit. You have to leave a part of you out there in the woods before you sort of get anything from it. And I think that we all kind of like experienced some level of that and kind of went through that whole process that we seem to find with every one of these projects that we do. Is there is this level of, you have to have some level of personal sacrifice before it sort of gives way and gives you something in return.
Something to throw out here real quick. Wolfman, thank you for that, Wolfman. And he put down, in the 1970s, a skunk ape was hit in my home county of, is it Broward or Broward? Broward on US 27, including by police. Wolfman, if you want to reach out to Brooke, she's the Florida person now. Brooke, what's your email address?
darkfloridapodcast@gmail.com. I'd love to hear more about that.
Easy enough. Wolfman, drop her a line, my Wolfman. Janet had a question for you, Brooke. Are the Bigfoot typically more aggressive as far as reports go in Florida than in other parts of the country?
I haven't heard of any aggressive reports here in Florida. My encounters with them have not been aggressive here in Florida. The things that I have experienced weren't aggressive in nature. So I'm not too familiar with that. From what I've heard, as far as forms of aggression goes, I've heard some pretty interesting tales out of the Rockies of like them throwing large boulders and things like that. But as far as Florida goes, I haven't heard of any aggressive skunk apes.
I have to ask you a question. Talking about these field investigations in Florida. Joe and I have never done an investigation in Florida. We hate the heat, number one, which we get enough heat here. But would you be willing to be our Sherpa into the swamp and take us out into some areas in Florida? And we do kind of a...
In the wintertime, maybe?
In the winter. Yeah. Yeah, right. Would you be willing to kind of take us out there and kind of take us around your stomping ground a little bit and kind of show us the ropes down in Florida?
Absolutely. And yeah, they do like it cold. Fun fact, I was bundled up in a blanket the entire time in the Airbnb, like totally blankets. And I think Joe was like, I would prefer it to be at 53 if I could have it that way.
If I could have it just right above freezing, I'd be just happy as a clam. So
Joe produces a lot of heat. I think Pork Chop said you produce a lot of hot air. Was it Rick? I think it was Rick said you produce a lot of hot air.
Real quick.
No, but
go ahead. I'm sorry.
Oh, I was going to say, anytime you guys want to come to Florida, yeah, winter would probably be best unless you want to battle with this heat, maybe a heat stroke. Winter is a good time. We can set something up for sure.
Yeah, I would love that. I'd absolutely love that. I'd like if we could like kayak into some really remote areas and check that out.
Oh, absolutely.
Alaska had a good thing. I thought there were reports of aggression from hunters in Florida. That's one of those like Bigfoot tropes you always hear. And I don't have like quantifiable data on what percentage of reports are aggressive versus non-aggressive, but it's one of those things you always hear. It's just one of those things that's repeated constantly in like the Bigfoot world, is that, the skunk apes, they're so bad tempered and it's because of the heat or the humidity or just like we're talking about right now. But as far as like the reports that I'm familiar with, and I'm not an expert on that part of the country, it didn't really sound like there were any more aggressive reports than you get anywhere else. There does seem to be in the South in general more, aggressive reports, but the way they're viewed is definitely as being more aggressive. There's not that warm kind of fuzzy feeling in a lot of parts of at least Southern Appalachia, like you get in the Pacific Northwest, where it's almost like a Bigfoot is like an environmental ambassador, down, in parts of rural, Southern Appalachia, it's get your pets in at night, put your animals up at night, get the kids in before dark. If you hear something, don't go outside. It's not something that people really strive to have a Bigfoot encounter. So I think that kind of that view that a lot of people have of Bigfoot in the South kind of carries over like that. But Let's see what else we've got here. What I call her Swamp Sherpa. Oh, I did want to put this up. Our friends, Paranormal Appalachian Research Team. They were just on Small Town Monsters not too long ago.
Heart, baby.
I just met them.
Yeah, so welcome, guys. Haven't seen you all in a while. Your channel's doing awesome. Congratulations.
You guys, okay, so this is going to sound absolutely crazy to everyone because every time I mention this, everybody always says, how did you not know this term? We were watching one of y'all's videos and you kept calling the little frogs peepers. And I had never heard
peeper before. I
had never heard those frogs referred to as peepers. And then after I watched your video and I was like, what is he talking about? The little frogs? Then all of a sudden I heard everybody referring to them as that. But I guess that's the common name for these little frogs.
Damn to find out. I'm not a frogologist. Wolfman, again, the forms of aggression in Florida is like tree trunks and large branches and Big Cypress National Preserve. So there we go. We got some firsthand information on it. So Brooke, like, as far as like going out on this investigation, obviously it's probably a lot more physical than some of the stuff you've like dealt with in the past. How did that rank up with like some of the group investigations? You're not looking to badmouth anybody or anything like that, but obviously what we do is like a lot more kinetic, if that makes sense. You know, how is that to kind of be involved with, I guess is what I'm saying. Obviously we don't really like post up a lot and just kind of hang out and wait for something to happen. Like we're like kind of charging into the bushes and everything like that. I guess what I'm asking is if you've ever watched anything we've ever done, you were actually there on the ground with us. How does that compare to like what a Hellbent Holler video is? Was it a pretty accurate representation of what we do?
I would say accurate and very genuine. You know, you meet people and I would say very genuine. And as far as like group investigation goes, this top tier. I have been involved with expeditions and other things in the past where it's just sitting around a fire and it's just sitting and listening. And I think that all of those things serve their purpose. But I, like you guys, I'm a very active person. I can't sit still for long and I want to do as much as I can to go and find this. And I think that there's also a little bit of an e-bike plague that is upon Bigfoot field researchers at the moment. And it's like, are we just riding our bikes or are we searching for evidence of this creature? You know, because I think that there's a time and place for both of those things. And so to just get out there, be in the element, again, be with people who can go and hike several miles and not complain about it and do it and, you know, not have to worry. I think that was really cool. And just everyone's attitudes were so on point. And I think attitude is everything. And the energy that you have within a group and within a dynamic is really important. And I think the vibes were good. And it was just incredible. And even Jesse and I had a moment where we're out there and I'm like, hey, do you mind if I try this? And she was like, absolutely. And I was like, all right. And so it was just this open-mindedness that I thought really made it something special.
Yeah, we've got a thing that I see where e-bikes and stuff like that can come in handy, but
Joe's got a thing.
I know. I've just got a thing that I think that, like what Jesse mentioned earlier, is that sometimes you've got to like earn it. I think that if what I suspect is really going on out in the woods and you're dealing with something that's old, it's prescient, it's kind of like playing a game with you. Sometimes you got to get in there and like hurt, man. You know, it doesn't want to make it easy for you. And if you give up when it gets hard, you're never going to see it. Sometimes it wants its pound of flesh, you know. I tell myself that every time we're out, like one of us gets hurt and we're bleeding or something like that, I'm like, this is what it wants into a certain, not that it's, I mean, no matter what culture you're in, your ancestors like interacted with some of this stuff and they understood that sometimes it wants like a sacrifice. Now I'm not talking like throwing Jesse in like a, you know, a brazen bull, although that's on the table.
I would like if you would do that.
So
that would be great right now.
Sometimes you've got to get out there and you've got to like show that you're like in it. You know, sometimes you've got to show that you're taking it seriously. And sometimes that means going out there and doing things that you're uncomfortable, you're wet, you're muddy, you're hurt, you just don't give up. You keep going. It doesn't work the first day. You keep hammering, you keep hammering, you keep hammering. And you know, maybe that philosophy is going to be the end of us one of these days. But I honestly think that's what you've got to do. Something else you have to do is Pork Chop, our buddy Pork Chop. Jesse, will you please shush me?
Is this a weird kink or something?
It is. He's got a shush kink. He's got the shush kink.
All right, Pork Chop. Now you have to get the really big one. Poor Brooke was privy to the shushery that went on, because I was going through some of the video today, and at one point I'm like, everyone, silence.
Yes, you get shushed a lot.
You get shushed a lot. Listen, I'm trying to get the audio.
Our buddy California Ryan.
Thank you, California
What's up, Ryan? How you doing, my friend? Hope you are doing well. And then Pork Chop's got another one. Brooke, have you ever done any investigations with Stacy Brown Jr. in Florida? Skunk ape type stuff.
I have not. No, we have not gotten the chance to collaborate yet.
So yeah, so there you go.
I know that in terms of Florida, Stacy Brown is one of the more known researchers out there. We used to have Central Florida Bigfoot, who's now Central Kentucky Bigfoot.
Now Central Kentucky. So.
But Brooke's kind of climbing up in there. She's doing a lot of stuff out there. And I'm looking forward to seeing more of your field investigations. I know you were out there with us, and Joe and I are filming everything we do. You know, we're filming this documentary. We're doing this project here. So of course we're filming everything we're doing. Do you see yourself possibly getting into more of that side of things, where you go out and you do these investigations and you start filming what you're doing and really start sharing that with an audience? Do you think that you're going to progress to that point? Or are you more interested in doing these investigations and just doing them for the sake of doing them? Or are you interested in maybe going into doing more documentary type stuff?
That's a great question. I think over the past year, I think in your latest post, you mentioned metamorphosis. And I think I've gone through a personal evolution as well. What my goals were with this, I had a moment where I needed to figure out my why. I had a moment where I was like, why, what is my why? And I think I'm excited to get on the other side of the camera. I think I let a lot of things hold me back from maybe putting myself out there, but I've since rid myself of those insecurities, and I'm excited. I just did a whole travel vlog for my trip to Pennsylvania when I spoke at the Forest County Bigfoot Festival, and I loved getting to capture those moments and edit it and put it together and share it with the listeners, just to show what Dark Florida is, because it's more than just a podcast and field investigations. It's all these other things too. So I'm really looking forward to getting more footage and getting out there on the other side of the camera and showing everybody what exactly it is that I'm doing here in Florida, and, you know, just bringing everybody along for the ride.
And of course, we are at your disposal. If you need any help with anything, I do know the best cameraman in the business who can answer any questions that you may have about anything, and the best editor in the business.
Yes,
that's true. But you mentioned that, you kind of have to get over some stuff when you're doing this, just from this side of things. When we started making videos, and even up until now, we've been doing this for, I don't know how many years now. It doesn't get much easier when it comes to putting yourself out there for an audience. We've cultivated an amazing community here with the Hellbenders. We have the most hardcore, vicious, supportive, we have Vikings that are at the gates, is what I'm saying. That is our people. That is
a lot of power. We wield a lot of power.
We wield a lot of
crazy people.
We've got a lot of angry, vicious women and witches at our disposal here, but we've cultivated a community of that, and that has been kind of the thing that has helped us get through dealing with this, because you are putting yourself out there when you're making videos. Not only are you doing something that is, kind of a subject that people will scoff at, the normies will scoff at, you're doing Bigfoot, but then you're also a woman doing this, which brings it down as something a little bit rarer. I know that I've dealt with a lot of really crazy stuff over the past few years, and it doesn't stop. That's just how it is. But I think getting past that and realizing, like you said, finding your why in it. Why am I doing this? Why do I keep doing this? Why do I keep putting myself through this? Why do I put myself through the physical stress and pain of this. And then I also put myself out there for the, no offense, the bearded men of the Bigfoot world
Hey, no, trust me.
to attack me.
And bearded ladies.
And bearded ladies. You know, but when you find your why and you find something that you're passionate about and you finally just say, you know, I have something that I'm doing that's important. It's important that I do this. It's important that I pursue this. I'm passionate about this. This means something to me. Then all of those things just completely disappear.
Well, you know, it's our buddy Hawk is not in the chat tonight. He's a little under the weather. Hope you feel better, buddy. But Hawk is about as well versed in the topic of Sasquatch as far as like historical sightings, people who have been involved in it. He's put a lot of thought into his theories on what's going on, but then he's open-minded enough to really kind of to listen to other points of view and take those into consideration. So he's a good guy in the Bigfoot community as far as that goes. And he often talks about that. He's just like, I don't understand why there's always such a pushback on women getting involved in this, because he's had the same experience that we've had, that generally if there's a female out in the woods, there seems to be more activity for some reason. And you could put whatever you could theorize as to why that is open to debate. But what's not open to debate is that when you get women into the woods, these phenomena seem to be more reactive. And quite honestly, that's something that you see repeated throughout mythology, folklore, superstition, tradition, basically since there were people around to record such things. That women a lot of times will be more attractive, both maybe spiritually and even physically at that point. So like whatever's like lurking around out there. They didn't tie a hairy old man to a wooden pole to satiate the dragon. They put a beautiful maiden out there at that point. So that's something that's recurrent throughout folklore, no matter what time or place that you're in at that point. A couple quick things in the chat. Buddy Michael Tovar, thank you so much for that, Michael. And then Michael followed up with, almost didn't see it, Brooke, after Sasquatch, are there any other cryptids in Florida that you hear about and want to research?
Oh boy, yes, actually. Goes by many names, the rake, skinwalker, or crawler, however you choose to categorize it. I have heard multiple reports of that activity, especially with a focus in the panhandle. I have heard accounts from different people of experiences that have happened to them, and it's truly terrifying what they have gone through. I even know somebody who had to check themselves into a hospital after seeing one of these things because it messed with his perception of reality so much because of what he saw and what he experienced. So I do believe there's something going on in this particular area of the panhandle that for whatever reason just has this charged energy where you do have other phenomena happening. I've even got reports of black-eyed children reports out of the same region. So it certainly seems like something is happening and going on there. And I would love to dig into that further and figure out the why.
So Brooke, if you were given the opportunity to possibly go on a boots on the ground hunt for a pale crawler in a remote area, you might be interested in doing something like that, huh?
Yeah. And I mean, here's the thing though.
I know, no, backing up. You already said, yeah, that's a legally binding.
Well,
You're in.
So yeah.
Yeah, I already agreed. But I feel like when it comes to these investigations, you really don't know what's going to happen to you. And I think that's another thing too, is whether you're a skeptic or a believer, if something is going to happen to you while you're out in the woods or wherever you're researching, it's going to happen. So I think that you just never know what to expect. You could go out there with all intentions of just investigating Bigfoot, and you never know what you might come across in the meantime.
All righty, what do we got?
And our crew has a lot of questions.
Tons of questions. We're just going to
we're going to roll through some of these. This is awesome.
Hunting cryptids. Brooke, have you hit the Big Bend part of our state recently? I don't know where the Big Bend is. Okay.
It's kind of that curve in the top.
Okay.
Yeah, there's a place I want to do a paranormal investigation out there, actually.
All right. Our scribe Becca putting on a reminder. Brooke she's on Spotify, Apple Podcasts, all of that stuff, but she does have a YouTube channel as well. Dark Florida 411. And then our man, Ray, best damn host on YouTube. Welcome to the Hellbent universe, Brooke. So Welcome, welcome, welcome. Thank you for that, Ray.
What would we call it? The Hollerverse.
The Hollerverse is what we're going to call it.
Welcome to the Hollerverse.
So here we go. Let's see what else we've got here. Janet had asked, actually, do you guys feel that there was more activity out there because there were two ladies? Ladies, what did you guys think about?
Not just two ladies, but two pretty badass ladies with strong energy. So I say
Look at
yes.
that. See, I like these caveats.
I
here.
know.
These are
Well,
good.
let's not forget too, we had our buddy Steve Strange with us.
Yes, we did.
And Steve is like perfect and stuff like this. You know what I'm saying? So Steve's absolutely
Steve's
perfect.
very interesting because he seems like he's so stoic, but he's such a
This
is going to sound strange. He's such a spiritually open person.
Oh yeah, yeah.
Like he seems like he's kind of a magnet for things, you know?
Now, while he's not as tall as I am,
No, he's nowhere near as tall.
as I
And
am.
if you see a photograph where Steve looks taller than Joe, disregard that.
perspective.
It's a forced perspective, possibly AI.
So, but he's a massive guy. He's
Yeah.
a really big, powerful dude. And there was the one thing when we followed a little teaser for you, we find what might be possible footprints going off the side up this hill. It's really thick. We're going over like fallen trees. The three of us are kind of squeezing up, and I go to yell for Steve to kind of hang back and like watch our six because Steve's a big dude. He's like right behind us, and I'm just going, how the hell did you make it up here? You know, I mean, it's insane. He's a very physically agile guy for his for all of his brawn and all that. So a perfect dude to have with us at that point. So
Well, and he had to leave when Jesse was dowsing. He has some strong energy too.
Yeah. Like we were in the cabin, and it was before we were doing our big investigation. We did multiple investigations over multiple days. And, we had been psyched up at this point. We had done, I don't know, what, 3 and 4 investigations at this point. And we were about to do our big investigation in the main area on the summer solstice. And we are in the cabin, and Brooke is kind of showing me how to use the dowsing rods. And I was blown away. I was absolutely blown away. But yeah, Steve's got some kind of energy to him. I'm telling you, he had to leave the cabin because everything kept trying to shift towards him the entire time.
all right, let's see what else we got here. We got more stuff.
People are saying, no way, Jose, on the old pale crawler situation.
Nobody wants to do the pale crawler. Wolfman, any dogman info in your neck of the woods there?
Yeah, there are some reports out of the southwest region of Florida. There's actually a pretty infamous case. This guy recorded it on Facebook Live, and it's still some of the best dogman evidence out of the state of Florida.
Blues footage, that's near you?
No.
Talking about, yeah, they tried to just put it away as like cigarette smoke wafting through. I'm going,
Yeah,
cigarette smoke. So yeah,
that's down towards the Miami, I think Fort Lauderdale area, on the outskirts there, and that backs up to the Everglades.
people forget too that it's not just that running footage that he had. He had a still photo of something watching him from the tree line. Big eyes, like pointed again. Almost like what we caught a thermal of in the LBL. It almost looks like a giant bat more than like an upright giant bat with no wings and like a dog man. But he caught like a really good photo. You see it there. It's your eyes are not mistaking you. There's something there watching him from the tree line. And the other thing too is that he felt afterwards, if I'm not mistaken, he felt that talking about it was attracting it. So he didn't try to get any like fame or fortune out of it. He just dropped out of the community entirely, which kind of like shores up his credibility there. Stone Maven for the equipment fund.
Thank you, Stone Maven.
Thank you, Stone Maven. I'm looking into upping our night vision capabilities right now.
Yeah,
Steve?
Joe showed me something last night. He goes, "Oh, baby, look at this." He's showing me something that is going to kind of change
We're looking
the
at
game.
getting some digital night vision. It's gotten pretty good now at this point, and you can record off of it. There's some digital night vision thermal fusion stuff that we're looking at that would be a game changer, but it's like $5,000. So we got to like start putting pennies back for that. So that will become a reality eventually.
We were also talking about, speaking of night vision, we've got our full color night vision. We have a couple of units that are capable of that. we were talking about returning to the Blood Mountain area and possibly doing some sky watching, doing some, somebody asked me, I think it was in my show yesterday, somebody asked me if there was any UFO activity out there while we were there. And I was like, gosh, we're so tuned in to being right there and what's going on in the woods around us. We barely looked up that entire time. And I was like, when you have some place that is like Blood Mountain, it seems like we experienced, spoiler alert, a bevy of activity, not just Sasquatch. And that's as far as I'll go talking about it specifically. It seems like we experienced, a variety of activity out there. If it could possibly, if Blood Mountain could possibly be one of these window areas that John Keel refers to, there could very easily be UFO or UAP activity out there.
Mm-hmm. Thank you for that, Walter, my man.
Walter.
We appreciate you, Walter. We got some other good questions from Brooke here.
I've got a great one here. Just 1 second.
Lay it on me.
Joe Doyle, Closet Nephilim.
He is.
Brooke, what are your favorite investigation pieces of equipment that you use out in the field?
Well, I love a good thermal. I have captured some incredible stuff. I think it's one of the most important tools out there. It really helps you rule out what is or isn't around you. Things can be making a lot of noise out there, and it can just be a possum going through the brush. So figuring out what is or really isn't, and I think that it really gives you that edge, especially at nighttime, and it gives you that set of eyes that once things go dark, we lose. So I think that kind of helps level out the playing field there.
Pyro, our buddy Pyro is in the chat. Pyro just did an interview with Miguel over on Sasquatch Theory. It's up for his members right now, but it's coming out for everybody soon. I am going to be watching that with great interest. Pyro's a great dude to get out into the woods with.
Brooke, you would love Pyro. You guys would get along with
that. Is actually one of my goals for next year, is for us to get out into the woods with Pyro.
I would absolutely
love it. One of the best times I've ever had. It's amazing.
That's one of the only other men to make me cry.
Yeah, I was going to say, we've got to pull his gift down to show on the channel sometime.
Absolutely.
We got to put up in a place of honor here in the house. So, all right, Brooke, a couple other things for you, not to put you on the spot constantly, but
you did sign up for this.
You did sign up for this.
It's the entry fee to the Hollerverse.
What else is?
You were talking about while he's looking for another one. You were talking about the thermal as kind of that great equalizer, and I know that we had been kind of in the field with other people before. We found, and I'm sure you found this too, that being out in the field with people who are not quite as experienced as you are in the woods, they'll hear something and they'll be like, oh my God, it's a Bigfoot. But if you have that thermal, you can look over there and go, no, it's an armadillo. And then, and you hate to dash their dreams. But I think that it's important to have tools like that really keep that level of honesty to it as well. If you hear something, not everything can be a Bigfoot out there, because you have to remember, you got armadillos, you got raccoons, you got possums, you got field mice, you got all of this out there, and having that thermal, at your disposal right there kind of helps clarify that. And so you can stay on mission and not just be pulled in every direction by every sound you hear.
David wants to know, Brooke, do you find many strange occurrences in St. Augustine, with it being the oldest U.S. city?
I'm so glad you asked. Yes, St. Augustine is one of my favorite places to investigate. I enjoy going there. I have found my last visit there, the energy at the fort was so strong, I literally had to walk away. It has so much history and so much that I can't cover it possibly tonight, but really cool place. I actually did post a video of our time there. We had something thrown at us that night. Mandy got hit in the shoulder by a rock when we were at the cemetery that has the ghost of the little boy. And it's just one of the most active spots, paranormal wise, I think you could go to. There's so much history there, and unfortunately dark history. That place is just a hotbed of activity.
I've always wanted to go to St. Augustine. We're definitely going to make a little trip down there. I want to go check out the fort and everything.
Yeah. Goshawk. Are there any quartz in that area? He's talking about Blood Mountain.
Yes.
We had a few Let me just put it like this. We're not going to do too many spoilers, but as you guys know, in a couple of the areas we've investigated previously, we were finding oddly placed quartz, sometimes shaped into triangular or pyramid type, shapes, and it just didn't make any sense. We didn't know, are there people out here doing it? Obviously it's weird. Obviously there's a pattern here. Does it have something to do with the other like phenomena that are taking place in these like areas? And we just don't know. But we actually were able to come across a few of those with Brooke and Steve with us. So we actually had an extra couple of sets of eyes on us discovering that stuff in real time. So yeah, we found some weirdness with quartz up through there a couple times. Not as prolific as what we find in Blackthorn, but it's there's something. The pattern gets another little piece to it at this point up around Blood Mountain.
And I don't know if I'm going to include because it's sort of a part of, again, the Hollerverse. It's sort of something that we've seen as we've gone through. So I don't know if us finding what we found in terms of the quartz would translate to this project. It's another piece in that pattern. We've seen this in Blackthorn. We've seen this in the Grove. You guys have witnessed us finding this stuff, but you finding these triangular pieces of quartz. We are finding it in this area as well. So that adds to this overarching pattern that we're sort of developing at this point.
Mm-hmm.
And I'll be sharing that with you guys. I think I have a lot of footage of that. And that was so bizarre to find that. I don't think that's going to be in the final product for this, just because we'd have to go into so much background on this quartz and this triangle stuff. So I think that is going to be reserved kind of for release on our channel instead of for the main project. But Brooke was there with us when we were finding this. We were down by a swamp area and we were finding this. We would find these triangular pieces of quartz. We'd find them and then move to the next and the next, right?
Yeah.
Have you seen that anywhere else and anywhere you've investigated where you find like something like that? And it's always these triangles and they were just in the middle of the path.
Well, it's so funny you say that, because after researching with you guys, that was a thought that I had a take back to myself, which is like, I need to be paying more attention to that and see if I'm seeing any sort of those patterns repeating down here in the places that I research. So that was a call out to me. I was like, man, I need to see if we're seeing that down here at all, because Florida is on limestone, and that's a conductor of energy as well. So that could be a reason why there's so many strange things happening down here also.
And it took us forever before we started to see these little things and kind of pick out these things. It's taken us kind of years to develop what I'm referring to is, in all caps, the pattern. But it's starting, it took years for us to really notice it. And then we just returned recently to an area we had been researching for years. And we kind of left it for a while. And then we went back. And then we started seeing the pattern there that we had never noticed in the years prior. So I think it's like over time, it starts to build from there. But you start to pick out these little things that you start to, pick out from here, here, and here, these common things that aren't natural occurrences,
And what's knife check?
Knife check.
Knife check. I'm going crazy this evening because I just got this in the mail today.
It's a very small knife.
Very subtle, very tasteful.
Very subtle.
Very tasteful. Got a Bowie in the mail today. It's pretty badass. I'm not going to lie. It is, I don't even know the dimensions on it right now. I don't know, 8-inch blade, 9-inch blade, 9.5-inch blade, something like that. Sculpted G10 handle. It's pretty cool. I dig it. It's weird because I take some comfort in carrying just giant pieces of sharpened steel with me in some of these areas. But it always just gets in the damn way so bad, man. Because I'm always like strapped down with like batteries and freaking lights and just.
You can either power your like camera or defend our lives.
Yeah,
I guess you have to decide that.
Our buddies from the Half-Inch Wrench crew are here. What's up, guys?
So my knife is, I have a little knife compared to Joe's especially. I have a SOG Adventurer. I just got this. And Brooke, I think you got something very similar to this.
I did.
Yes. Mine is purple. Brooke's is blue, and she didn't bring it. She has failed the first test.
Damn. All right. Well,
nobody told me this would be a part of it.
This was not in the briefing.
Yeah.
right.
But yeah.
All right. See what else we got here. The questions are going crazy. I'm not catching up with all of them, unfortunately. Our buddy Eric, Murder Slug Spray Fund. man, we got to get that murder slug guy on the. I don't know what it's going to take, but it's going to take something. So
we're gonna have to do something. I mean, the people demand the murder slug.
People demand the murder slug. So let's see what else we've got here. I got some other stuff. Danger Dave. Do skunk apes come around people's homes or property, or do they stay in the swamp? Do you have as many cases down there with like the stereotypical Bigfoot messing around houses, slapping on the walls, walking on the roof, digging through the trash cans? Do you see that as much, or is it mostly they're seen in the wilds down there?
I would say early Florida sightings, you have that sort of theme. Even my nanny, that's kind of what sparked me to getting into this, was my grandmother had a sighting in the Panhandle back in the 70s. And what had kind of prompted all of that was there was something in this newly developed neighborhood throwing these logs around like matchsticks, and that took heavy machinery to stack, and they were coming out. People were super freaked out. There were reports of something lurking around. They saw this tall, dark, bipedal figure. They were coming across, disfigured deer, and, that was causing property damage with these logs just being thrown around. So I think some of the earlier reports, the ones that I've come across recent, have just been out in those areas of woods. So I think, Florida right now, unfortunately, has gotten really overdeveloped in some places. So I think we're seeing less of that, actually.
I know you guys are experiencing the same kind of like population boom that we're experiencing around here. And it's going to be interesting to see how that just unchecked crazy development and people being packed into these areas, how is that going to affect the activity in these areas going forward over the next few years?
Buddy, Rick Skinner.
Rick's got his own sound.
Rick's got his own sound.
He's got the wrong.
Battery fund. Thank you, my man.
Buy the ticket, take the ride.
Thank you, Mr. Rick. And even had little battery icons. Are those even? What the hell? All right. Anyway. All right. What do we got here, Brooke? What kind of paranormal investigations do you do?
Ooh.
They grew up with a ghost in their house. What do you do? Do you do like the standard, like going into the haunted house, walking around with the EMF detector, or do you do mostly like out? Just tell us what you kind of do on that.
Well, I do have all of that equipment. Shout out to Kathy. I see her in the chat. That's my girl in Ocala. We do a lot of paranormal investigating together outside of just Bigfooting, and we bring out all of the equipment. I think it kind of just depends on where we're going and what the focus is going to be, but I absolutely love the paranormal side of things. I love going into a graveyard at night and seeing what we can conjure up or what's already there. I'm not afraid of that. I'm not afraid to, if there's activity going on in the spirit box, get into a dialogue, have the conversation, use the dowsing rods, see if we're getting any hits on the EMF reader. We bring a lot of stuff out. She has a ton of equipment. Prior to Bigfooting, she was a paranormal researcher. So we've got the REM pod. We've got all of that, the stuff and the light bars. So I love the paranormal side of things.
You need those like backpack guns that shoot the lightning like Ghostbusters.
That's what we need.
That's what we need. So
forget the battery fund.
Uncanny Cryptid Cartographer. I started this earlier and then I lost it because there's so much good stuff going on in the chat tonight. My wife saw Sasquatch. I saw Dogman at the same time, 100 feet from each other in Western North Carolina.
Well, if you'd like to tell me where that happened, you can email me at the email below, hellbentholler@gmail.com.
Our email is like blown the F up. So put Dogman, North Carolina in it and we'll see it. So it's like bananas. Like our email is out of control.
I don't know if you know this. I am from Western North Carolina. I am a Haywood County girl. So there you go.
All right, let's see. Somebody had asked this earlier. Since Brooke is from Florida, she heard of the legendary alligator two-toed Tom. Is that a real thing?
I'm not sure.
Got to brush up on your gator lore there, Brooke. So
yeah, I don't know. Is that a wink at the lizard man lore?
I have no clue. I just figured I'd throw it up there, see what you got. So, all right, see what else we got here.
Iron Ring Official says, Brooke, what is the most intense paranormal experience you have ever had?
Good question.
Ooh, good question. Well, this takes me back to the graveyard in the Panhandle. I was there with another, funny enough, it was a BFRO expedition, and things were, I happened to be with a good investigator who dips into the paranormal. So we kind of split off. And if there's an 1800s graveyard, we have to see what's going on there. You can't just not, right? So for the folks who were scared to go into the graveyard, they sat outside. Well, we went inside, and once you kind of crossed that threshold, these you could feel like the energy change, and these graves were really old and weathered. Some that didn't even have, a name on them anymore. You don't even know who they are when they lived. And we went in there, and there was just this overwhelming like presence in one corner of the graveyard. So I had some of my equipment with me. I get it out, and we're hearing these responses, and we're trying to do get it to interact. He had these like energy balls or these light balls that he had placed on top of the grave, that if in theory there's energy around, that it would interact with it, right? But we have these, like I said, this is like an 1800s graveyard, possibly older. It's hard to tell. Some of the graves still had it, so we could get a rough estimate. And I just kind of had this thought. I was like, I think these balls are just too advanced. Like, if we're dealing with an old ghost here, like, I've got some candles in my bag. Let's whip out some candles, right? We got to move on our feet here. So,
Let's speak their language here. Yeah.
yeah, if I'm a
Something
Victorian
familiar.
ghost, I'm going to be like, what the hell is this? So,
Rich.
yeah. So actually, we're getting these responses of, I'm like, yeah, I think that they don't like the balls. And it was like idiotic. And it's like responding to the things that we're saying. And as this is happening, we're in there, and the activity is ramping up as I'm trying to troubleshoot how we can, best interact with this. And we're just getting more responses. At one point, he went to go bend down to the grave, and it was like, come sit with me. And we were just having weird stuff. Well, what we didn't know is that while we're in this graveyard, they're hearing stuff happen outside of the graveyard. They said it sounded like something was crashing through the brush and was going to just like come out and hit us in this graveyard. And so they were really concerned for us. They were trying to come back to the location, and we didn't hear any of that. It was almost like we were in this void, so to speak. And he starts getting hit with a lot of energy, and to the point where he's like, I feel it washing over me like a fire hose. And so he's kind of coming under some kind of, he's having a reaction, and we had to, get out of there and, say a prayer. And when the rest of the group joined with us, they were really concerned because they had heard all of this activity and we hadn't heard any of it. And I will say though, when we did arrive that night, we did hear this scream in the darkness moments after our arrival. So I don't know what happened that night, but it was fast paced. We were getting responses, and the energy was definitely affecting other members of the group that night. So it was pretty crazy.
That's very cool. I have an interesting thing. You were bringing up the 1800s graveyards and everything. Andrew said, "Ooh, Jesse and Joe, you guys should introduce Brooke to the kin." While we were at our cabin, it was probably 5 a.m. We had gotten back from an expedition out there. We did an investigation. I showed Brooke the Devil's Graveyard video, and where I did the Estes session out there. And that is the origin of the kin. I said the kin or something while we were out there, and I was in the Estes session. Joe and I actually had a conversation recently about maybe seeing if you would be interested in going to that graveyard with us and us doing some sort of Estes session, or see if we can do some kind of contact experiment out there. So that's kind of interesting that Andrew brought that up as well. So a lot of little connections there.
Indeed.
JD Smooth, my man. Brooke, do you get more sightings of swamp apes after the hurricane or before? Have you noticed any sort of like effect that like weather conditions, which Florida gets a boatload of, on like the activity that's reported down there?
That's really interesting. I haven't noticed any parallels, but it would be interesting to look at some of the dates of these reported sightings and see if they do overlap with any sort of pattern there.
Cool. So
Cool.
she's going to get back to you on that one, buddy. Alaska, does Brooke take any precautions prior to going out?
I do. I don't want to reveal all of my secrets, but I do. I carry some crystals on me, and I recently had an energy reader let me know I have some strong protectors on the other side. So I feel very divinely protected. If we're talking spiritually, I feel like we're good there. And then 2A, of course, big Second Amendment, So I do stay protected. I always conceal carry while I'm out there, not for Bigfoot, but just, for other humans or other, wildlife attacks or something. Because I'll be honest with you, while out investigating here in Florida, I think that adds another layer to it. Is there's something out there that wants to kill you. And you've got, the wild boars, we have bear, we have alligators, we have snakes. It's like, we're the Australia of the United States. So we've got all kinds of stuff going on out here. So I do take the extra precaution just to keep my peace on me. But yeah.
That kind of brings me to ask, something that we've encountered while doing field investigations out there is not just cryptid activity, paranormal activity, but the human element out there. We have encountered what appears to be cults operating out in the woods, crazy meth heads, et cetera, et cetera. Have you ever encountered something that kind of spooked you in regards to the human element out there?
Oh yeah, absolutely. Especially I've been in the swamp and we're doing an all-nighter. We're like, all right, we're out on this night op. And we really positioned ourselves far into the forest. We had some weird things happen and we decided we were going to pull in this one spot and take like a 20-minute cat nap. We're like, okay, power napping this. We're going to sleep for 20 minutes. We have an alarm set. We're going to get back up. And it was like right as you kind of got settled, all of a sudden these headlights appeared out of nowhere. And you're like, what the hell are you doing out here? So as much as you sometimes think you're alone and like no one else is out there with you, you get surprised by creepy pickup truck lights out the really remote area of the swamp that you're at. And you're like, all right, well, we need to get out of here.
Didn't we make you take off like a protective gemstone?
We did.
Yes, we made Brooke strip herself of like any spiritual protection before she went out because it has a tendency to push stuff back away. Our buddies from the Half Inch Wrench crew, thank you guys. Not much, but every penny counts. Gas for your trip to the killing field.
I think they have a Q&A sometime tonight. I think somebody mentioned that in the chat. If you guys will just put that in the chat and let us know.
Yeah, Half Inch Wrench, if you guys have a Q&A tonight,
we send some folks
even if we're eating, we're going to chime in and like watch. And we also said after the last time we were at the LBL that we were done with the LBL for a while.
We did say that.
We said that we were done with the LBL for a while. And then maybe not to return for like a long, long time. But then we were hanging out with like Miguel and the Half Inch Wrench guys. We were talking about maybe doing like a super group investigation of the LBL, which we would try to drag Brooke and Steve along with us as well.
Yes, absolutely.
But just get like some of like the top like field research groups down there and really just hit it from like different directions and think of the cool stuff that we did at the Tennessee Cryptid Camp out with everybody that came with like Adam and Miguel and doing that in like the LBL.
And I think that everybody that we've talked to about this huge undertaking, this project, everybody brings something different to the table. Brooke and I really connected on this trip and we really kind of we discussed maybe doing some stuff in the future and maybe using sort of the spiritualism aspect of it too. Maybe bringing that element in would be kind of cool. But I think could be Smoking Aces, but with a dog man.
You love a good ensemble assassins movie. I'll say that. You do.
But if Brooke would be interested in attacking the LBL, I mean, you can't go to the LBL with anybody else. I mean, you got to come with the kings.
Absolutely.
Our Lady Wolf, our mod extraordinaire.
And then after the show, I'm going to put a link to all of Brooke's stuff, her channel and everything in the description of the show. So you guys can go check out Dark Florida. JD Smooth.
Actually, hold on, get Dave's thing real quick.
Dave.
Read that for me.
Hellbent Holler Hootenanny at the Matanzas St. Augustine or bus.
Our buddy JD Smooth. Thank you for that, JD, for the Cobra Treat Fund.
Oh my gosh.
Jessie is in the editing cave losing her damn mind right now.
Already.
Editing all the footage that we did for Blood Mountain.
It's all right. Brooke already got a crazy text message from me earlier.
So Cobra's been with her the entire neck of the woods for that. And we've got another one from Wolfman here.
Wolfman.
Jesse, the rainbow people are the most dangerous in Ocala National Forest. We are familiar with the rainbow people of the living light.
Yes. So we've seen things about them up here, but Brooke, tell us what do you know about the rainbow people down in Ocala?
Well, I was going to say, so that's definitely something you always have to consider when out researching in Ocala. But my friend Kathy actually had an up close experience with them within the last 6 months because she lives out in the forest. She was riding through these, and they have a vast system of roads out there in the national forest that are really cool to go in and get lost. And she comes around a curve and there's these people like dispersed camping there. And they're the types of people you take a look at them and you're like, oh, okay, they're trouble. Well, long story short, this crazy looking lady charged at her car, screaming at her. And there was this dog. And so she put that thing in reverse and backed it up, Terry up out of there and got the hell on because they were chasing after her car. And so she didn't go to this one particular area of the forest for a while.
Yeah, that'd be a no.
Yeah.
That's a no from me, dog.
It happens.
Did you catch that? Back it up, Terry.
Back it up,
Back
Terry.
it up, Terry.
Back it up, Terry. All right, let's see here.
We're coming up on the top of the hour.
So Brooke, where are you going to from here, man? You had kind of a
you had a bit of a blitzkrieg into the Hellbent Hollow.
Yeah,
world.
you had like kind of a blitzkrieg. Do you think that you're going to start doing like, and I know Jesse kind of discussed this a little bit earlier, but where are you going to from here? Do you think you're going to start getting more like hardcore field investigation centric? Do you think you're going to be making more trips north to kind of come hang out with us and go into some weird places? What do you see yourself doing for the remainder of the year here?
Yeah, I absolutely see myself getting out into the field more. I actually have something planned for this weekend. Going to get out there and document some stuff and see what we can uncover. And yeah, I would love to collaborate further with you guys and come up there. I already told Jesse next time I'm flying and I found some cheap flights. So just say when and we'll plan it. But honestly, I can't wait to make more content. I really found that, going to the Forest County Bigfoot Festival and going up to Pittsburgh and kind of creating that. I love just, sharing history and maybe even forgotten history or hidden history. So I really want to focus on that as well while bringing these field investigations. Also, places of interest that maybe have been forgotten or showing an element that people didn't know. So I'm looking forward to bringing some more content.
I'm very excited to see you kind of forge your own little niche and your own little path here. I think that's really important for bringing this whole thing kind of forward, to make these connections between the paranormal, between forgotten places and Bigfoot, just kind of bring it all together, and do it your own way. I think there's been a glut of people involved in the subject who have been trying to follow the same roadmaps over and over again. So I think that that's something very cool about you, that you're very genuine to yourself and your interests. I respect the hell out of you, girl, because you kept up with me and my old man running through the woods like crazy.
I was pretty proud of myself, man, because I'm like older than all of you guys are, and I'm carrying the most crap, and I managed to
I do have the best heart rate recovery, though.
You do have some insanely crazy heart rate recovery. I will give you that. What did Brooke ask you? Because we stopped.
What are you, freaking Gandhi?
Yeah, because your heart rate went from like 120 down to like 60 in like, I don't know, like 90 seconds or something like that. So
yeah, Joe's like, okay, well, we're going to hang here till we can get it under 100 BPM. I'm like, all right. Yeah, that sounds good. And everybody's like, oh, what are you at? We're like, oh, I'm at like 103 or whatever. And yeah, you're already back. So I'm like, how?
It's because I'm such a peaceful, calm person.
Yes, indeed. You're just, yes. Good Lord.
I'm so even keel.
Wolfman, thank you so much again. Rumored Dogman and Sasquatch are also in Ocala National Forest. Ocala is where I usually hear the most. And I'm going to be honest with you. I don't know that much about Florida. I was in Destin for a while.
You were at like a hotel bar in Destin for a while.
Probably. That's a pretty accurate assessment. I was in Destin for like a few months, but and Sanford for like a few weeks, but I didn't see much. But every time I hear anything weird in Florida, it generally more often than not is Ocala. So Ocala is where we need to go.
Yeah, absolutely.
And then let's see what else here. I know I've missed a bunch of stuff in chat tonight, guys.
We've got a super chat here from Riles. Just want to say that I love the channel, and Joe, old guys rule.
Thank you. So I'll take that.
Hey, he super chatted at least.
Hey, I'll take it, man. So no, I was, because like I said, I was worried because I was just actually Steve and I were even talking because we were going, oh good God, it's gonna be hell keeping up with Jesse and Brooke out there. We're gonna die. But then we managed to
You
do
guys
it, so.
did great.
Yeah,
You really
man.
did. Yeah. I'm editing right now and I'm going through. We have one investigation that I have 5 hours of footage for the one investigation, and I'm going through it and we're hiking up. I mean, the inclines are like this, and we're hiking up it. And I was like, I am surprised that we're not all in those like labs just going, we did pretty good. I was pretty impressed. I didn't have to cut around any heart attacks or anything.
So I guess the mods have been busy tonight. I've been having a hard time keeping up with the chat. So we've got Lady Wolf, my lady in here, man in the gates.
We got the
Scribe and Bonnie Blue.
Blue,
so thank you guys for all of your hard work. Scribe, we're going to double your salary. How's that sound?
Scribe's gonna quit.
I know Scribe's gonna quit. So anyway, all
Listen
right.
here, Joe Doyle.
We are wrapping this up right now, guys. Brooke, we appreciate you coming with us. Our buddy Sam Burton just popped in. Sam Burton, I need to find. If you're friends with Sam Burton on Facebook, Sam is he's a Hellbenter, but he's a friend of ours. I follow. I don't really do a lot on Facebook. I just don't. You know what I'm saying?
Yeah.
I get sickened by it. But I get on there. Sometimes I only get on there to see what's going on Sam's farm, because literally it's like a Greek tragedy at that damn farm. Do you know what I'm saying? Right now he's trying to catch an abandoned little kitten that he saw.
I saw this. That was
bunch of
today's.
poison ivy, and I'm emotionally invested in whether this cat gets found or not. So got to get an update. So anyway, guys, we're going to be wrapping this up.
Scribe says 0 times 2 is still 0.
Got the math there. All right. Anyway, guys, we are going to be in the chat with Half Inch Wrench here in a bit. So there, I just checked. They're going live in an hour. So you got time to do all the stuff you got to do.
Pork chop, you've got time to crawl out of the Mexican restaurant bathroom and make your way to.
So Brooke, we have a guy,
another bathroom.
a friend of ours, Pork Chop, great dude. We've met him in real life. He brought us these really nice shillelaghs that he had carved. Anytime his family has him out to dinner and the show is on, he sneaks away to the bathroom
and he chats from the bathroom.
Then gets into the bathroom stall and then gives us bathroom updates. So it's kind of a little bit of a tradition at this point. So there you go.
But yes, all of you, if you have not yet, make sure you go over to Brooke's channel, subscribe to Dark Florida, go on Spotify and subscribe on there, follow there, and listen to all of her back catalog of episodes of Dark Florida, and keep an eye out for future projects from our friend Brooke Moreland. Joseph Doyle?
I got nothing. Brooke, you got any parting words you want to grace the people with?
I just want to say thanks for having me on tonight. It has been a pleasure catching up and reliving all of our fun times that we had. And I just can't wait for all of you guys to see the film. It is going to be something really special.
Oh, that's a tall order for me now. Isn't it?
There you go. So, all right.
I'm in the edit, and that's why I'm sort of going crazy right now. But hey, look at that. I'm going to survive. I always do. I've got the best partner in the business right here. Best cameraman, best support system. He's going to put me in a brazen bowl if I keep going crazy while doing this. But hey, I asked for it. All right, guys. I want to thank you all for joining us for Hellbent Live. Brooke, stay on here. We're going to talk to you right after the show, after we get off of here. Thank you for joining us for Hellbent Live. Make sure you go and follow Brooke's stuff. Go and check her out. Stay up to date on the Brooke news and everything she's getting up to. Wish me luck in the editing cave. Cobra has been no help so far, but my complaints fall on deaf little ears. So thank you guys so much. And I guess we'll see you guys soon enough for this.
Later,
but thank you
gators.
to everybody for the super chats. You guys rock. That's going to go into Joe's hybrid. What is it?
My hybrid hot little hands. So
Hybrid. I was going to say hybrid thermal and
Oh, I thought they called me a Nephilim earlier. I thought you were making a riffing on the Nephilim thing.
Well, we'll do both.
Fusion thermal hybrid stuff.
Fusion thermal hybrid Nephilim stuff. All right, guys, thank you so much, and we'll catch y'all later. Stay safe out there. Take care of yourselves and take care of each other. Good night, Hellbenders.